All right, welcome to our live stream. Hey, our YouTube family, we are here at DCI Education Group, and we are going to do maybe a 30-minute review of Chapter 2. This is for our instructor training. Just be reminded of our schedules. We are hybrid online, okay? With us being hybrid online, we're in class Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we are Tuesday, Thursday mornings virtual, okay? And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. We had a small class this morning, but I don't know if chapter 2 is within our video library. So I did want to talk about it a little bit. Um, so let's look at chapter 2. Educate a professional coming on and then want to move into the educator ring. We look at, okay, you got to have a plan and you got to learn your environment. One thing that I'm big on, you got to learn who you're teaching so you can master the information that you're going to be giving out. Okay, you got to know who's in the audience, and that changes with every class. Every class has a different learning style, and there's many individuals that have many learning styles, and your teaching style will change based on who's in your classroom. So always remember that no one thing is going to be consistent. It's always going to be a surprise at the end of the rainbow. Okay, so our critical concept here for chapter 2 says master educators know things that begin well are more likely to end well. So we're talking about organization, getting your thoughts together, getting your lesson plans together. What actually am I teaching? What information is essential that they must learn? What information gives priority over other information? What's relevant? Okay. And then analyze the learning style of the individual in your classroom and see if you can pull in the student interest with what you're teaching and how you're teaching it. All right. So you got to have a little organization. Let's organize these thoughts, these teaching concepts, and put them into just plan so students can learn. I mean, learners can learn. All right. And when you hear us say students should be replaced with the term learner. Okay. That's who we have in our classroom, whoever's learning from us at that present time. It says, thus, they will plan carefully for the learning experience to begin well. All right. To begin well. Here's our goals for this week. We're going to list the benefits of effective organization and teacher preparation. The number one benefit for me, okay, is when you're organized and you're prepared, you're able to flow with no distractions. Students can pick up, learners can pick up, okay, when something is not put together. They can pick up when you are just winging it. So, this is not a career field that you go into in 2025 saying, this is my safety net. I'ma just wing it. I'm not gonna put a whole lot of time in. I've put my seasons in behind the chair. No, this is a whole new ball game. Doing hair is different from teaching hair. Okay. And it's gonna need some planning. Okay, gonna need some organization. So we're gonna learn about the benefits of effective organization and teacher preparation. We could do a whole lot of things, but is it effective? And then we're going to list the characteristics that are common among adult learners. So if you're going to be teaching adult learners, these are some things that you should be looking at. All right. You're going to state the goals of the classroom arrangement and organization. When we talk about classroom arrangement, there's a certain set that you would set. Like, you wouldn't even imagine that the way that you set up your tables and chairs help you interpret, help you teach. The way you set those chairs up, the way you set those tables up, how you want your students to learn, it helps you teach. Okay. And so we're going to state the goals of the classroom management. classroom arrangement. And so that all the way to the colors of the wall, all the way to what you got as a decor in the classroom. Okay. All of that helps in the learning process. So, and perform the administrative tasks required of the educator and explain what they include. The administrative tasks, okay? Keeping, okay, giving them the tests, grading the tests, all right, recording the tests, evaluating the students, whether it's every week, every 2 weeks, monthly, okay, having action plans in place, doing proper attendance. Those are administrative tasks. Also, making sure there's warnings documented, um, disciplinary, actions documented. And so we have to make sure all of those are good. So you're saying, I got to prep and organize, be energized, okay, be professional, teach what I've prepped and organized. And I also have to admin what I've taught. Yes, you do. Okay. And so that's why this is not for the weak. Not every school is going to have a full instructor's assistants. And mostly instructor assistants will do some of the admin work or all of the admin work. So sometimes you may be at a school that has you doing your own admin and your own facilitating. Okay. And it's okay. You can do it. I think we skipped somewhere. Hold on. Let me move back to our document. So it says with the master educator, we'll also prepare and organize prior to actual start of class. So we won't come in getting ready. You're not going to wait on the students to get there. We're going to maintain current knowledge relevant to the field of study. Okay. So this means that the master educator, you will never stop learning. You're always going to a class. You're always sitting in a class. And one of the objectives should always be, I'm bringing some back to my students. You should want your students to be the most successful. Should want them to be the most knowledgeable, to have everything they need as they go out into the real world of the beauty industry. Okay. So educators remain teachable and they never stop learning. And then we develop organized work habits to ensure that administrative tasks such as record keeping and reports are completely accurate and timely. This is why we have time based, home based, which you're able to clock in digitally. And then also the educators are taking a manual clock in as well. When you come into the building, our students have to clock in per home base on a digital platform, but also you would do a paper clock in, sign in as well. So we have two proofs of hours, whether you're digital or whether you are in the building. So it should not be a confusion. They both should sync, instructor along with student. Everything should match up and it should be checked daily. Okay, check daily. You have other schools that just have like a time clock, um, and no sign in. Some people do pictorial roll calls, which means they take pictures and you say you're there, but you were there on a certain day, but you're not in the picture, so you probably were not there. Um, and then they'll do I want to hear voice to voice roll calls as well. I want to hear your voice, so I do that a lot. Um, in our virtual, the 2 days that we do have virtual, I do have, sometimes I will have our admin on the other side taking note of who's present. We go to break. We want to make sure all the students return from break. If they all do not return from break, guess who's clocked out? The one that did not return. All right. So you gotta, that has always been something you're gonna have to stand 10 toes down for, because when you're, you know, the state is trusting you and your school to give hours towards licensure for the assignments, the work that has been done. You got to make sure that they're there presently in the building and doing the work. Okay. So everything has to be earned, not given. And so that's something once we start off and you're organized with it, you don't have to have a lot of issues with it down the road. Ensure master educators ensure classrooms are safe while also providing a motivating and comfortable environment for learning. When we're in the building, there's this plaque that says, this is a safe space. And it's safe space, two things. Within our enrollment agreement, we do not tolerate any bullying of any nature, any fighting, any bullying, and that even comes into adult spaces. Okay, you're not going to intimidate, you're not going to bully, you're not going to forward stretch with gossip and discourse that would cause the student to be, um, removed from our school. Okay, and that's an easy removal because everybody should feel safe in their workspace and in their learning environment. And if any opportunity that of where any time that a student does not, that becomes a problem that could cause discord in the classroom. So I'm going to suggest that you always keep an eye and out on, literally what's going on under the radar in the classroom. And then it is a safe space. And so I don't allow nobody mocking anybody because of a learning disability or the way they look, or because they don't, look the way that someone else wanted them to look. Everybody's voice is important, and I make sure I say that in the classroom. Everybody's voice is important, and so no matter if you like what they say or not, remember it's a safe space. Okay. um Cursing is limited or no cursing at all, my preferred form. It's just, respect, and then it allows you individuals to get their thoughts out without, clouded with so many, unnecessary words. And so I just want my students to be in a safe space because they may not have a voice in another area, or when they get home. I just want them to know that they're in a safe space. And so we have to govern that space and be really strong about the no intimidation, no bullying, and sometimes students could come in shy, and you want them to feel safe. So sometimes we are the ones that have to set the tone about you're okay here. Okay. Um, and even now, when it comes to social media, when it comes to recordings, you have to pretty much make a statement that don't record anybody who does not want to be recorded. And matter of fact, your phones, I don't, now here's my stance. I don't have a problem with the phones, but be respectful of individuals around you with your phones. There's no candid recording unless you're giving permission. Okay. When someone is getting a service, there's no recording of that service. You're not content building unless there's permission given. And then we're trying to learn. So when we're learning, there's no content recording. Okay. So, and with a lot of our services, students, and patrons, they undress. And so you will not have your phones out while someone is undressing, not taking pictures. I mean, I've seen this at other schools that I've worked at, and it's turned out really bad. So it's a definite no at DCI. Okay. We're going to be respectful of individuals and their personal space. And so there may be opportunities, and I may even say this is a great opportunity to get some content after the training has taken place, after you've learned what you've learned and you have permission to get. And I would say these are areas that you cannot record. Okay. And I most recently had a discussion with students about content. And I said, be mindful what you're recording because I'm a background person. If you have not cleaned up your stuff, do not record. because the first thing that person sees on the other side of that lens is what's in the background. And that just kind of gives a little business network social media lesson as well. And so everybody, got what they wanted, but at the same time, I wanted them to be knowledgeable, because what if you're at home and you want to showcase these amazing, beautiful braids, but then you also are picking up the disinfected area. So it's a mess in the back. So just talking to them about upkeep, and then also then going to get your recordings and posting. That way the person is not distracted by the background. So that was a whole 15-minute class, and we all had fun talking about it. And guarantee they probably learned something as well. Here's our ability to lead and inspire. Okay, and here's two things we have to think about: lead and inspire. That's our job. Now, before we teach, we lead and inspire. Okay, there's going to be two things that you're constantly building on no matter what: lead and inspire. You have to think of yourself as the classroom leader. The accountability or the buck does not get passed down at all. The accountability or the buck does not get passed down at all. The teacher, the educator, the master educator is going to lead, and that person is going to take full accountability for what went right and for what went wrong. And also in that accountability, give, I think, solutions. Be a solutionist to anything that was not pleasing. What could we have done better? Okay. You'll be the first one out the gate, and you'll also set the standard, but also you will say, hey, we could have did this better. And let's look at 3 ways that we could have did it better. You can get the group's input, or you can set the tone by giving those 3 ways that we could do it better, and get reflections from the group afterwards. So either way, you're jumping into a role, you're walking, not jumping, you're walking into a role that's going to cause your leadership skills to come up. Okay. It's going to instantly cause your leadership skills to come up, because the educator sets the tone in the classroom. What I hate to do is walk in a classroom and not know who the leader is, not know who the teacher is. Okay. So I'm just like, when I walk into a classroom, I want to know who's the facilitator, who's the classroom leader, who's the educator. Okay. And when I look at this, I'm just seriously like, okay, if I can walk in and there's a student who is doing the things and of the classroom leader slash the teacher, I have a problem with that, because how did the student, the learner, surpass the leadership that the teacher is supposed to have in the classroom? That's a part of classroom management as well. So we always look at that. Whenever I walk into a room, I'm looking for the manager, the classroom leader first. I'm looking for the instructor first. And I need to be able to set the instructor apart from everybody else. And you will say, DCI, how do we do that? One, we do it with uniforms. So instructors have a white uniform top and black jacket with our name and stuff on it. Okay. And we get to wear a variation of bottoms. So instructors could wear, what they want on the bottom, but we have to wear the white top. And then our aesthetic students are in all black scrubs. Our natural hair students are in eggplant purple scrubs. Our lash students are in teal scrubs. Our Cosmo students are in gray scrubs. And nail students are in like a sage green scrub. And so everybody has a different color. Our admin team wears blue sometimes. Okay. Our admin team wears blue or they wear their own professional clothing. And so with the instructors in white tops, it doesn't matter what classroom you're in, by visual sight, I can see you. Okay. And then also because you set apart and you're different, you should also be able to, lead the classroom just from sight. You students know, oh, she got a different uniform. Oh, she in a different color. So, oh yeah. And that's exactly what I want them to think. I want them to come in knowing that the classroom leader, the classroom manager, the head honcho is this person right here. Okay. And so it's already set up for you. Now you just got to go in and you got to lead by example. And it says you inspire. Okay. You inspire or you encourage, motivate. Um, so that means you have to bring a very positive spirit into the classroom. You got to love what you do or what you're getting ready to do. You have to have a love for the beauty industry. You got to have a love for teaching. You want them to learn so bad. So you have to have some inspiration behind it. And here's the thing: what you'll notice that happen, and many educators could agree with me or not. Yours, as you set the tone, your students will pick up your tone. So if you're negative in your classroom, your students will pick up and we'll start to see the students become negative in the classroom. If you are inspirational, encouraging, positive in the classroom, we're going to see that DNA in your students. We're definitely going to see it. If you are messy and petty in the classroom, the students are going to pick that DNA up. So remember that the students, the learners, pick up the DNA of the educator, their leader, their accountability person. Okay. So you have to be mindful of what we say, what we do in that classroom setting. I've also had to be mindful of what I post, even though I'm not at work. I've had to be mindful of what I post because remember, we are the biggest superstar to them than they've seen. Can you imagine someone always wanting to come to beauty school and they finally get in beauty school and it's a second career and they've always wanted to do this but they couldn't do it as a first career, so now they're coming back and they're laying it all on the line. And I have a lot of students who lay it all on the line. They're here and then they're looking up to us because we've already been where they want to go, and then we show them something that is not positive, that is not conducive to their aspiration, and they're all over the place. They get confused, okay, and they kind of lose a little bit. It kind of goes, that yield and excitement for the industry and learning and coming to school kind of goes down a little bit. The morale diminishes, and so we got to be mindful at all times. This is why in my the whole time, I think for my 15 years, for at least 15 years, I never shared personal experiences with students. My first year, I did. And I had great mentors that reeled me in and said that being the friend is not the way to go. Being a cool instructor, the crunk instructor, going out with the students is not the way to go. Okay. And so I got reeled in, and it take another 15 years for me to, break and relax those personal boundaries. And those 15 years were me honing my craft. Okay. My students are always, his was the going thing, how old are you, Miss Cox? How old are you? And I would never tell them how old I was. Because most of the time they were probably older than me. Okay. But I would never tell them how old I was. And then also, in that 15 years, I had to play it kind of safe on my social media. And I tell them, you can't be my friend until you graduate. And so that was like a going thing for about 10 years. You can't be my friend on Facebook till you graduate. And so just putting some parameters there, because I always remembered how I messed up. And I'm going to just say it, I messed up my first year. But I was 19 also when I started like year-end instructor training class. I was 19. So, and I started teaching on a dare, and lo and behold, I'm set up. I'm still here. So, my 19, I only been on the earth 19 years. I'm growing. I got some freedom from my mom, but I'm still staying in my mom's house. So I was loaded with information. I had the knowledge because I had been traveling, had been doing hair since I was 14, and I had been studying way ahead of my time. And I was always like, a good academic student, so wise. And so I've always studied ahead of my time. I've always been connected to beauty professionals, mentors since high school, since 10th grade, 15 years old. I've always had older mentors to kind of mold me. So by the time I'm 18, 19, going into this challenge, and I'm ripped and ready to load. I'm ready to go. I got a lot of information in me. I'm excited about teaching, but I needed to be taught as well. I needed to, you know, 19-year-olds freedom. I needed to reel that in because both of those were not going to be able to go together. Okay. So by the time I finished my training and had like a year or two under my belt, then I said, okay, I'm 21, 22. I can now carry a classroom, a professional classroom. And it really did take at least 2 to almost 3 years to get it together. Um, and of course, after that first year, after that first 6 months, I got it together really, really quick. But everything else for the next 2.5 years was just me practicing and becoming better and better and better and better. And I would go home and go 2 chapters in front of my students. Every night I would study ahead of my students because I said, if I get them chapter 4, they're in 4. I need to already be in 5. I need to already be in 6. I need to already have my lesson plans and things like that ready to roll. And so that, that was, and it just kind of got very meticulous. And as I started to learn and teach, and I was able to start organizing things the way I learned them. And once I learned how I learned, I was able to teach the students on how they learn. So it took a whole maybe year of crafting who I was, um, researching how I learned, researching learning disabilities that were not noticed, that I had to overcome, and then how did I now teach these individuals. And so it's been a great experience since. And we're about at 25 going on 26. I want to say 27 years. But realistically, I think licensed 25 years. Going on 26 this year. So was still in the game. But that came from first learning who I was and stepping into a leadership role, and then also moving into an inspiration role as well. So turning my negatives into positives. I use something called compartmentalization. Compartmentalization. Compartmentalization was all the stuff I was going on personally. I had to put those into different compartments. And when I walked into that school and into that classroom, literally, I had to leave what I had going on outside of the school because I did not want it to affect me teaching in the classroom and giving the students what they needed. Okay, so that's all a part of my journey. It's going to be a part of your journey. And there's always a blueprint, but it's not set in stone because you're going to learn and teach differently, and who you have in your classroom is going to be different from who I have in my classroom. So this is like a self-learning experiment, and it's going to pull out all the best of you. And you say, am I going to need all that? Yes, you're going to need all the best of you to teach every class. You're going to create a positive learning environment, which goes back to you got to be positive to create a positive learning environment. So whatever makes Miss Anthony feel amazing, you're going to have to put that in front of you every day. When you wake up, if you got to have your meditation moments, if you got to have your song that pumps you up, if you got to have your admirations, your affirmations, you got to pump yourself up, whatever you got to do, you got to do that because they're looking to you to set the tone in the classroom. So create positive learning environment. Okay. Provide pathway to success, which means I had someone tell me one time, I had a student tell me that another educator said that I'm selling my student dreams because I was telling them about all they could do with their license. And all because this student was in a particular part of town. They lived in a impoverished area on paper, but they were very rich in skill, rich in admiration, rich in I'm gonna make it. They were very rich in that. And so for me, I just took my experience. And if a student says, you know what, I'm gonna make it, I don't care what it looks like, I'm gonna stand 10 toes behind that student, and I'm gonna give them every resource they can handle. Period. I'm gonna give them every resource they can handle, because they have shown that they want it. Now, you never let a person's current circumstance determine how well they're going to be and how successful they're going to be. They already got the world doing it. They don't need that in their safe space. So I'm going to be that pathway to success. So that's why I always say, okay, guys, you're always going to be a student. Even after you leave school, I want you to still learn. This show is coming up. There's this class over here that's coming up. If I was to recommend you do anything, go here. And so I'm always going to be a connection to students and advanced training and continue, just continued education. When I went to Dallas, I brought back pamphlets, pictures, magazines. I even brought back products. The first thing we did in class last week when we came back in my first day back from Dallas and I was in the school, we went over all the stuff that I brought back. The product company, I gave them samples, because it lets them know of what's out there and what's outside of their current environment. Most of the time when I've had students to travel out of town to shows, field trips or whatever, when the students came back, they were better than when they left. You know what happens if you take a student that's never been outside of Memphis or never been outside of Tennessee or Mississippi and you take them to Las Vegas? Can you imagine, Miss Anthony, the eyeballs? Now, this was a major conference on hair, skin, and nails. Can you imagine the eyeballs when they got to that convention center? How do you think they were? What do you think happened when they got to that convention center?
Shocked, surprised, overwhelmed, maybe a bit confused or excited. about what they were seeing and about the new territory that they had stepped foot in.
All of the above. All of the above. And I'm gonna show you a picture. Don't you know that they were there before time? We supposed to have met up at 9 a.m. Everybody got in the night before. We supposed to have met up at 9 a.m. in the center. Don't you know they were there way before me? I got there at 9. They were already there. They wore their uniform. They didn't even wear they missed the memo about they could wear what they wanted to wear. They wore their uniform. And when I tell you they already had their schedule of classes already ready to go. I was so proud. And we had another instructor there. I was so proud. We had students, and those students left Las Vegas and they moved to, and this was that particular group of students. But when I tell you, I remember one student, I was coming out of a class and I walked past her and she was talking to one of the teachers and she was like, Miss Cox, Miss Cox, Miss Cox. I had my mom on the line, and I was like, calm down. Bring it all the way down. I know you're excited, but it's something that jumped inside of me, was like, oh my goodness. And that particular student, like months later, moved to Texas, like had something just opened up as far as what she could do and where she could go, doing absolutely amazing. I've had this other student that was there in this circle moved to Nashville, one moved to Arizona, one moved to Texas, one traveling into Texas at the National Laser Institute, Texas Laser Institute. I had another one who went to another show in New York. I mean, their horizons opened up. And so a lot of times you just say, okay, I think they just need to see something different. And when they got into that space, they definitely got everything they needed. I don't know what they were praying for, but I know they got it. Okay. And us even walking together on the floor and them running into sugar companies and everybody trying to tell them about machines. They say, oh, we talked about that in class, and they really get to touch it. They really get to be a part of it. So that group really inspired me to keep going, you know? So I'm always going to tell the students and where they could go with their knowledge and their license. And I'm always going to be provide a pathway to success. I'm never going to crush a dream. I am going to tell them to organize their goals. I am going to tell them, let's have a sidebar about what you want to do and just look at some different alternatives. So I'm always going to provide a light and be a pathway to success. And here's the thing, we want them to be more successful than we are. And I had a educator, instructor trainee one time that said that she wasn't ready to teach because she thought she was ready to teach, but she wasn't ready to teach because how she's going to teach them how to do her job. And I said, ooh, you're definitely not ready to teach if you're worried about the student having more clients than you do. That means you're compromised their learning. That's not good for nobody. So when you're ready in your heart to teach, then come back. Okay. But everybody has their own pace. All right. You're going to facilitate learning, which you are the line leader. You're the captain. You're going to start the class off. You're going to close the class out. You're going to give direction. You're always going to be the facilitator. All right. Sometimes we'll have students with strong voices that will try to share everything that they have, but you still have to be the facilitator. So, questions or comments afterwards, you orchestrate how the class is going to go in an organized environment. So, today I'm going in to do a little painting, but also I'm going in to organize some files. Okay. And so, in me going in to do some painting or organizing files, that's going to help give me some clarity. And when I say, how does organizing files and cleaning give you clarity? It's just like a cluttered closet. You really can't think, you don't know where you put the last thing. So I have to also do that in my learning classroom. And have I always been a success at it? No. But I have to do it because when I'm there, I see it and I want to be clear for my new students coming in tomorrow. So I need to go in and do some organization tactics, putting some things back together, and also just doing a deep clean, getting everything ready for my new people coming in tomorrow. I just want to have a fresh start. Okay. And then there's careful planning and preparation. Careful planning and preparation. So being considerate of times, breaks, also looking at opportunities to share things that if you're going to do a video, you're going to already have that over on the other side. If you got to jump into your ebook or portal, already have it pulled up. If you're going to do a guest speaker, already have them planned and things of that nature. So, careful planning and preparation is always amazing, and you should be at least 1 week to 7 to 14 days ahead. Okay, always 1 to 2 weeks ahead. So, if anything happens to you, you have to be out for an emergency. Somebody else can come in and they can kind of pick up where you left off. And when you get back, there's nothing has been missed. Your students have missed anything. It was a well detailed flow, and you just jump in where the sub left off. So that's always amazing. So that's our ability. Okay. We'll look at our organization and preparation, and then we're going to prepare to close. We will finish this on Thursday morning, but what I would like you to do is go over chapter 2, this PowerPoint, and then we will, for homework this weekend, we'll work on our study guide. Okay, so teacher and your study guide, you can work on your study guide when you're not inside of the school. Um, but we do have class. What's today? Virtual classrooms are Tuesday and Thursday, so we do have class tonight as well, and then we have Wednesday and Friday in the building. So whenever you're not in a classroom setting, you can have your own personal time and work on that study guide that's attached to your email that I sent. Okay. Um, Teacher organization and preparation. You're going to know your subject matter, which means as an educator, even though my lady has like 25, 26 chapters, do we have to know all of them? Yes, we have to be familiar with them all. No teacher knows word for word everything. Okay. But over the years, you probably will teach everything. So I'm gonna tell you, always hone in on your strengths. Don't get comfortable there, but learn hair, skin, and nails so you're able to, as an educator, be able to teach all of them effectively, especially if you're going to be a cosmetology student, cosmetology instructor. You're not just going to be at a place where you're teaching hair. You also teach skincare. You also teach makeup. You also teach, brows and lashes, things of that nature. And then you're going to teach nails, whether it's manicure, pedicures, acrylics. And so hone your craft. Okay. Know your subject matter. A lot of times when I was really good in weave and I wanted to take a break, I said, it's time for me to learn something else. Didn't know I was preparing myself for skincare, but I said, let me go and I'm gonna take 3 months to learn everything I can about facials. I'm gonna take a year to learn everything I can about skincare. And I dedicated any trainings I went to skincare. Then I was like, okay, I need to learn about nails. All right. So I can pretty much teach it all. I love skincare and I love hair though. Nails didn't come up so much, but I love them both. I love them all. Okay. So know your subject matter. Current trends. You go to shows. You're always looking at the most popular styles. What's revitalizing the beauty industry? Okay, cutting and coloring is never going anywhere. So a lot of my courses are a lot of my advanced training or classrooms I sit in on are videos I watch is cutting and coloring. Student body size. The smaller the group, okay, the more attention that you can give. But as the group gets larger, you will have to learn how to control and share your time and space with everyone. You got to know what activities and work for certain group as well. Planned activities all the way down to if you're going to do poster boards, I need where's my supplies as a teacher. All of that needs to be in place because I don't need you leaving the classroom looking for tape, leaving the classroom looking for markers and trying to pull all your stuff together when the students are supposed to be learning. Okay. So that's part of organization preparation, making sure that is already in place. And then identify materials and equipment. Okay. Things that you're going to need, that supply list should be given way ahead of time, not the day of. Because you're probably messing with me, you're not going to get it that day. Because I'm probably teaching and I'm with my own organization and preparation plan. And so I usually tell instructors ahead of time, I'm going to need the list. Okay. And when we come into the classrooms, we come into classroom ready to work. All right. Any feedback or comments on what we went over today? You,
I
you
would just
still
like
with
to
us?
say that, ma'am,
I was saying you still with us?
yes, ma'am. Um, I would like to say that first of all, I'm very excited about it. Also, and I'm eager to learn even more. And I do know just from me being a student, at one point in time, I feel that it's very important to keep the class entertained, to
Mm,
keep their attention span where it needs to be because any little slight thing can throw them off. And I believe in having fun while being taught and while
yes,
teaching. I think that that
that's
plays a big
it.
part, and it gets people to be able to navigate from one area to the other, and no matter which way this student needs to learn, that student needs to learn. If we include some type of fun activities, they'll all be able to grab a host from whatever way that we're teaching at that moment for each student to obtain what they need to obtain in learning.
You are absolutely right. And if you're starting off with that comment, it's over. You understand that fun needs to be, even though we're talking all these words, fun needs to be in the center. And so we if we're going to have a safe place, education learning should be fun. And so your preparation is probably already ahead like mine. So we got this chapter. What 5 things can we do that'll be amazing, to that'll be super fun? And so I'm always thinking, and that just comes with experience as well. Um, Everybody's not a creative person, but since you're already on a point of I want to keep it going, got it. It's okay to smile. It's okay to add some music. And we talked about music is the foundation of some people learning. It's okay to have videos. It's so like I don't stress the little stuff. And I've learned it over a period of time and with the group. Let's have some fun. Sometimes I mean we've had enough of the classroom. Let's go somewhere. you know, let's
Right,
plan
right,
a field trip. Let's work outside today. Let's start with practical instead of starting with the book work. Sometimes you just got to switch it up a little bit. So you're right on the money, and I'm excited. We're gonna finish. Go ahead and check out your chapter 2. Just look over your study guide because I think we're gonna end up going over that together too. And you'll see the answer key in the back. But see how many you can get before the answer key. Highlight the ones that were kind of hard to for you to break down. But we're going to pick this back up on Thursday. And if you need me, you know how to contact me. We'll be in the virtual classroom tonight from 6 to 8. Of course, it's not mandatory, but we'll be there, and you'll be able to see Miss Candace, how she works. But if you need
Okay. And
anything as you look over anything, just call me, okay?
okay, which class will it be tonight?
I'm going to do now. We do a study hour on nights because most of those students are preparing for state board. So 6 to 7 skincare, and then 7 to 8 is going to be Cosmo. So both of
Okay.
those are state board preps. But with Cosmo, they had to do a collage of 3 things they wanted to learn. So as we're prepping them for state board, I still want their skills to stay fresh, you know? And sometimes state board could be boring. So
Yes.
in the email, they've sent a little collage of different things that they want to learn. And it's okay to have what we want to teach, but you also find out what they want to learn and see how you can bring them two together. You're going to keep them coming to school, and you're going to keep learning alive for them instead of them saying, oh, here we go, boring again, you know. So if you know you're going over a chapter that's kind of just wordy and just like, oh, here we go. I ain't gonna remember all this stuff. Try to incorporate something fun as well, as you already said. And with Cosmo students, of course, hairstyling, braids, and hair color, which are popular. And that's what they said they want to learn. So, guess what we're going to be doing the next 2 weeks is trying to teach them, trendy braiding styles and hair color, because that's going to get
Okay.
them do that state board prep without fussing. And
Okay.
so that's just our thing. As they're learning what they need to learn to go to the state board, I'm also giving them a little bit of something that'll bring them into learning. Like, I know I got to go to class. I want to learn this, but at the same time, she's going to teach me this, so I'm gonna go. And so that just helps you in the long run too. Okay. Um, I'm gonna close this out. We're gonna stop our recording. Thank guys for joining us who are on our YouTube land, and we're gonna pick back up at 10:30 with our aesthetics class. So until next time, I'll see you Thursday. And if you need anything, give me a call in between. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a blessed one.